coming. I know the weather is a little dicey, so thanks for coming. I'm really glad to see such great local support. I'm Katie Otto with the Main Street program, and we had the honor of working with John McGivern and his fabulous crew. They came out a couple days this summer and they filmed everything. They asked for who would be the best people to interview, and they had a list of about 1,000 wonderful people, and then they had to bring it down to the number they could manage. So we're very lucky to have this great town. I also want to say, a lot of you know Mary Ellen Vins. She passed away today, so we're going to dedicate this preview party to Mary Ellen. I'm going to turn it over right now to Steve.
I want to welcome you here tonight on behalf of the City of Lake Mills. We have gathered here tonight around the corner from downtown to celebrate the nuances and differences of our community that we have come to love. This is an opportunity for us to enjoy and celebrate Around the Corner's presentation of the Lake Mills community with this early viewing. Soon the Around the Corner feature will allow others outside our community to appreciate our interesting community that is just around the corner. So sit back and enjoy people around the corner from you.
But first, on behalf of Wisconsin Public Television, I welcome everybody and thank you for braving the ice. We at Wisconsin Public Television love this show. We love John. We love that he gets around the state and shows the rest of the community all these great communities that are here that some of us don't get to see. But once we see his show, we want to see them. And if this show that you just did is anything like the crowd here, it should be fun. We have some things in the back when you go out. Take a look. There's that way. Oh, okay. Says the engineer. Great. We have Garden Expo coming up in February 12th through 14th. That's at the Alliant Energy Center. It's one of our fundraisers, but it's also the best time to go and smell dirt for the first time in a long time. So it's a great event. We also have March 5th, the Downton Abbey Farewell, God help us. It's an event that will have a dinner and speakers and dancing and stuff like that, and that's March 5th. There's pamphlets out there, take a look at that. And our Airwaves guide, we know that we kind of have one foot here, and Milwaukee Public Television has the other foot here. So some of you have our station, some of you have theirs, but there's a guide that tells you what's coming up. I brought along a clip today. If you've seen our Wisconsin from the Air, we've been busy working on a winter from the air. And we started it last year, which was a challenge because there wasn't much snow. So we've been still working on it, and we've got a couple clips here to show really quick.
Is that how it starts? That crap?
I don't know. We'll find out.
That's right. Okay. Let's
Ready for takeoff. Runway 32, clear for takeoff. Okay, 6 go, 1 to go.
A television event uniquely Wisconsin showcased our state like never before. Wisconsin from the Air. Over 8,000 DVDs of the show have been delivered, all to people supporting Wisconsin Public Television. Thank you. Your commitment to local production allowed Wisconsin Public Television to open up a whole new world to our viewers. From gaining a new perspective on the place we call home to experiencing hidden gems found only in Wisconsin, together we reached our viewers like no one else can. The Friends of Wisconsin Public Television is instrumental in bringing our viewers original programming made in Wisconsin, and we're joined by some fantastic partners. Thank you for your support and for inspiring so much more to come.
So I see that and I just tear up. Our state is so lovely, and as Director of Finance, I really appreciate the membership support of programs like these and programs like Around the Corner with John McGivern. We get so many positive thoughts and fundraising, and again, as a Director of Finance, I love that. So anyway, without further ado, I'm going to introduce Raul Galvin, who is the Manager of Program Production and the reason why John McGivern was here.
Thank you, everybody. I'm the last one, so you don't have to listen to anybody else after me. You can just come to watch the show. So how many people here watch public TV from Madison? And how many watch it from Milwaukee? Well, it's about half and half. So we were wondering how many of you watch from where. So this is the 5th season of Around the Corner. We have produced 65 plus 3, roughly, about 68, 69. Welcome, John Gerda. I'm glad you could make it. I hope you didn't ride your bike. And so it's been wonderful. I keep getting pressure to sign them for another 5 years, but you know, when you got a lot of money, So, so anyway, we're so happy and delighted that you took the time out. I guess we came in before all the precipitation started, so thank you for coming out. Another wonderful, wonderful turnout. We keep running into hundreds of people like you at every community we go to, so we appreciate you coming out, and we want to roll the Around the Corner in Lake Mills for you. Thank you.
I am on Main Street across from beautiful Commons Park. This is legendary Lake Mills. You've heard me call Lake Mills legendary. You know how I know it's legendary? It's because okay, it's on every sign in town. But by the end of the week, I'm going to find out the legend of Lake Mills. Yeah. Can I tell you, I can't find a lake called Mills. There's a rock lake, but there's no... John Gerda.
Hey, John.
Well, is there a Lake Mills?
Not a lake as such.
No, there isn't. But why do they call it Lake Mills?
Well, what you're looking at is Rock Lake. There's
right.
the lake
Yeah.
to our west. And here is where the mills were in the early years.
And this is a mill pond.
It's a mill pond, so you can look at the park sign, it says mill pond. What happened, John, was a guy named Joseph Keyes came from Vermont back in the late 1830s, and he dammed a little creek that drained this lake and built 2 mills on the far side of the pond here, one to grind flour and one to saw lumber. So that became Lake Mills or Keyes Mills, so the start of a settlement. So that's where it came from.
Oh, there we go.
Keyes moved on before long, but he stayed long enough to lay out the town and to give a little triangle of land for a public park, and that is now Commons Park, which is certainly Lake Mills' heart, and just a classical village green in the old style.
Yeah. And you know, I was doing a little research myself, and weren't there old mounds that they referred to?
Just a few miles east of here, they found a group of mounds that some early settler called Aztlan, thinking that they were somehow related to the Aztec culture in Mexico. Kind of a stretch. What they were was a northern kind of outpost of a culture called Mississippian that flourished 1,000 years ago, and their center was a town called Cahokia, just opposite St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay.
That was at the time the biggest city in North America. So Aztlan was a far northern suburb of Cahokia down there in what's now Illinois.
Great.
And then some years later, they found what sort of roughly pyramid-shaped piles of stones in Rock Lake. And some people were sure they were put there by an ancient culture when the water was lower. Others were sure that it was just geological processes. So if you want to start a warm discussion in Lake Mills today, just ask about the Rock Lake pyramids.
Okay, but there's more than pyramids and mounds.
There sure is.
Yeah.
What flourished here was the dairy industry, and Lake Mills was the center of Wisconsin's Holstein country. And believe it or not, back in the 1880s, this had the highest concentration of silos in the entire U.S.
Really?
And the biggest employer in Lake Mills was a company called Creamery Package, and they made butter tubs, cheese vats, all kinds of dairy equipment. They also made, other plants made dehydrated milk, knives, and shoes. So you had this combination of trade and manufacturing that really made Lake Mills prosper. That's why you have all these gorgeous old Victorian homes in the heart of town. They're really pretty.
Yeah.
And transportation also helped. The Lake Mills had no railroad until 1882. The railroad came to the south end of town, so the town grew in that direction. The trains are gone. That is now the Glacial Drumlin Trail, which connects Milwaukee with Madison. I've done it twice. It's really a nice trail.
Great.
And then on the north end, you had Interstate 94 coming back in the 1960s, so now the town's moving in that direction. And what it did was it put Lake Mills within about a half hour of downtown Madison, about an hour of downtown Milwaukee. So now people commute in both directions. So Lake Mills is still a classic small town, still has a strong manufacturing base, but it's more cosmopolitan than it was in years past.
The population?
About 6,000 people, John, more than half German, and the borders, it's about 4.5 square miles on the east shore of Rock Lake, pyramids and all.
So you knew I was going to ask for the mountains, didn't you? Well, where's next?
Glacial Drumlin Trail, just
That's where you're going, so it's right off the pier, yes?
Yeah, turn right.
Turn around. Thanks, this is a good one. I love this town. I'm taking this thing home. Yeah. It's sold. It's sold. On second thought, this is not going to fit into my parking space. Let's talk about Aerotope. And who's your customer?
Basically private individuals where they want to control their own airplane. Airplanes are delicate. You can't simply move them by hand. Number one, the factor of handling the airplane without damaging it and so forth is one thing.
Yeah.
The other thing, we're going to go up here and attach this guy. The safety factor. 40 years now, all total, I've been at it. There you go. See, now you're going. Mine attaches, they're cheaper, easier to move. Now, if you run over anybody, I got options on your wallet.
Is that right?
Previous, I had gas machines. Since then, I converted everything over. They are completely battery operated. It was probably the smartest move I ever made.
And you make them where?
Right here in Lake Mills.
Right here in Lake Mills?
Yep. I put out roughly 200, 225 machines a year. It's just my wife and I. We ship all over the world.
Wow. Can we talk cost at all?
$1,500. The big machine is almost $7,000. But they make great Mother's Day presents.
Oh, do they?
Yes.
You were brewing beer in your basement before?
Well, not in the basement.
In the kitchen?
In the kitchen,
Yeah.
yes. I was an avid home brewer, so I went to brewing school, and
Nice.
this is where we went.
And 16 years ago, there were some breweries around, but it wasn't like it is today.
Oh, it was nothing like it is today.
Yeah.
So back then, there were a handful of microbreweries in the state.
Right.
Now there's almost 80.
Is that right?
Maybe 100. We now brew 5 year-round beers, 6 seasonals, another 6 specialty seasonals, and then a few beers from time to time just for the fun of it.
I love the names.
Bitter Woman IPA, 3 Beaches. Rocky's Revenge, that is a bourbon barrel-aged brown ale.
Scurvy? Come on.
Scurvy is an IPA brewed with orange peel.
Where do you sell?
The bulk of our beer is sold in Wisconsin. We also sell to Minneapolis area, Chicago area, Illinois, and Indiana.
And in the back, you've got hops growing?
We do. That started during the great hop shortage of 2007, 2008. It's very difficult to get hops at that time. So we decided that we'd grow some of our own.
I heard that you do a root beer.
We do.
How good is that root beer? Do you sell this by the six-pack?
We do not. You can only get it here.
It's so disappointing, but that's all right. I'm going to stay here for a while. Here we go. Thanks. I'm with Cynthia Weston, who is an interior designer, and you may not believe this, but we're in front of her home. Aren't we?
My chouse.
Your chouse.
A church
Your
and a
chouse. It's really remarkable. What denomination was this?
It was Methodist.
It was a Methodist church.
Yes.
And it stayed a church until when?
1977.
Into the kitchen. What was this?
When this was the church, this was the boiler room.
When did you purchase?
1992.
And no refrigerator.
The island is the refrigerator.
Excuse me? And it's worked out.
Absolutely. I think it's very cozy and it doesn't feel like a big space. It feels like home.
Is this a perfect place for home and office?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Can we talk about your business?
I do both residential and commercial work.
Okay.
My favorite kind of work is adaptive reuse, taking an old building that either residential or commercial that needs a little help and making it into something functional and salvageable again.
Do your clients come in and say, this is how I want my house to look? This is how I want my house to look, just so you know. It's really remarkable.
I can do that for you.
Yeah, can you?
Yes.
You do not live in the sanctuary?
No, mostly it's closed except for twice a year. Some friends and I do a very nice garage sale in the sanctuary called the Divine Treasures Estate Sale in a beautiful space.
And don't you love the fact that then all those people who really want to knock on your door and say, can I take a look, are able to come in and take a look without having to knock at your door and ask you. We're at a place called Sound Haven. You live 3 blocks from your studio, and the studio is an old Lutheran church.
Yeah, 11,300 square feet.
And it's a learning center?
Yeah. I bought this with the idea of teaching live sound. Artists aren't making money off their albums anymore. They're making money off these concerts, so there's a lot more shows going on. And I wanted to give back, teach the kids how to do what I do, because it's a great opportunity. They get to travel the world, work with bands.
Yeah, that's what you've been doing.
Yeah.
What makes somebody good at what you do?
That's me on Van Halen. You got to have a set of ears. You got to know how to listen. That's the most important part, And everybody thinks it's easy to do rock and roll because they walk in and see the show for an hour. And we've been there since 6, 5, 4, 3 in the morning sometimes. There's a lot of gear, a lot of stuff that goes into it.
People are watching this going, and he's in Lake Mills, Wisconsin. How did that happen?
I can live anywhere. There's an airport close. I can go wherever they want me to go.
This is the bridal room?
Absolutely.
There's more business than just the sound business that happens in this building. Can we talk about that?
Absolutely.
Great.
So obviously there was a greater vision.
Lori, this is the gathering room.
It's just a great opportunity to open it up for special events, and people are in love with it because it still has that church feel, and yet it's a multi-purpose space. I certainly have to point out my father and my husband built the bar, so this is a great aspect to our business.
This bar wasn't in this Wells Church?
It was not, and we do have our beer and wine license, so this definitely is a selling point.
So Journey of Life offers many things for the community. We offer things like facials, acupressure, reflexology. You guys ready?
Talk about Zumba.
The beauty of Zumba classes is that it's really something for everyone. Everybody can do it. You can take it at your own level, intensity level, but people of all ages and all ability levels can participate in Zumba.
In the same class?
In the same class.
Yeah. I love the fact that you talked about that this is for the community.
We really appreciate the feel of this building. Kind of different from a Big Beck's gym or something like that. We really like to have a warm, welcoming feeling when people come in. And we're known for our family atmosphere. We don't want you to feel like you're coming for a tough workout, and we just want you to come in and feel like you're right at home and you're ready to have a party or have a nice, relaxing yoga experience.
Yeah. One of my favorite parts of doing this show is checking out the housing stock in these communities. If I were to move to Lake Mills, this is the block I would live on, Mulberry, and I would live in one of these houses, one of these turn-of-the-century beauties. Gorgeous. Legendary Lake Mills? Come on.
Legendary Lake Mills.
What's the legend?
We have many formations it could be that we're going over one right now, and it has been researched and studied for many, many years. So we have a lot of artifacts. We have a lot of history here.
So it should be called that.
I think it should.
Yeah. Listen, here's what it says in Wikipedia. Rock Lake is perhaps most famous for its underwater pyramids, believed by some to be built by the natives at a time when water levels were much lower. Either pyramids or Indian burial grounds is what we heard as well. Do you know what else we heard? That it's just rock formation that was caused by the shift in Earth. We're not sure, but Wikipedia, come on, it's gotta be a pyramid. Yeah. Because Wikipedia said that I'm 6'2". We were told that we were gonna go to boathouses. Is that what we're doing?
We are going to the boathouses. Some of them are more than 100 years old. They are like little cottages. Welcome to the boathouse. I think they're unique.
Yeah.
You know, there are other boathouses. It had screens that went around and people slept on the porch, we think, but you can't build that close anymore.
Because they're close.
They're a little close.
They couldn't be any closer.
Don't
step out the door of the middle one.
I know, makes me a little nervous.
That's a long...
It is a long
It's
drop.
a long step down.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know why we're talking to you?
No.
Yeah. Can I tell you what we heard about you?
I don't know.
Volunteer extraordinaire and someone who kind of really helps Lake Mills live.
Well, and it helps me live.
Yeah.
It really does. I love Lake Mills, and since I retired from teaching, I have rediscovered the charm of Lake Mills.
You have?
I have.
Yeah.
Ready to get in your chair? Come on.
You're a big runner.
I am, yes. I've been a runner since I was 10 years old.
And is this a good running town?
It is amazing, yes.
Amazing.
A lot of runners, a lot of people do triathlons. We run with a team called My Team Triumph. These are our race shirts.
Oh, perfect.
They help people with disabilities run races. They have all the equipment and everything, and they hook people with disabilities up to with athletes, and then they run anywhere from a 5K to marathons, triathlons, all that kind of thing. So
how great is that?
It is amazing. We love it, and everybody in town kind of knows us a little bit. We get a lot of waves, a lot of honks when we're out on the road training, so that helps.
Yeah.
We're getting pretty tired to keep us going.
If somebody had not ever been to this community, what would you tell them?
I think just that this community has an incredible sense of togetherness. The school districts are great. It's a very athletic community. It's always people out being very active.
Yeah.
All of my friends from Illinois, I'm always encouraging them, come visit. You're not going to want to leave.
You chose to live here.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Lake Mills just has a lot more to offer. It's friendly and it's active, and it's much more than it looks like from the quick trip stop off the freeway. That's
People know that.
Like, everything is great. Once you get in the square, it's just
great location,
beautiful.
Several good places to eat, nice recreation, beautiful lake.
And you guys are really outdoors people.
Yes.
And there's a lot to do that way. Yeah. What do you take advantage of?
Well, there's a lot of different running routes in the area. Some of the best half marathons are in Lake Mills. There's the bike path where we can go biking. And then the lake, of course, you can rent kayaks down there and just go swimming. So we took advantage of those.
And neighbors, you know them?
Several of them, yeah.
It's like your typical family town is what it is. Like the neighbors, you can ask them to watch your dog when you're gone or watch the house. When we went on our honeymoon, our neighbors watched our house for us.
Took out our garbage.
Yeah, and then same for us. We've babysat for their kids, and it's just a really, it's a family approachable town.
Yeah. You're active young people. Are there a lot of you in this town? Do you know a lot of young people who live here and commit to this community?
It's not uncommon to go out for a run and cross 4 or 5 other people, many other people biking, walking, going for walks.
This is John Gerda's favorite building in town. It's the LD Fargo Public Library. Built with the help of Fargo, who gave $5,000, and then he needed to give another $1,000. It wasn't enough. So what they did, they asked for stones from Farmer Fields, farms south of town. Built by the community in 1902. A great building. I can see why Gerda loves it.
I like what you're doing.
You're a photographer?
Yes. I'm a photographer, graphic designer, web designer, all that kind of stuff.
It looks really fuzzy.
It's because it's not focused. So
why in this town of Lake Mills?
Well, I grew up here. I came back for a wedding, and I fell back in love with Lake Mills, and I've been here ever since.
I so much more enjoyed being in front of the camera.
You know, something that brought me back was the amount of creativity and art in this town. I was out in LA and doing my own thing, which is good, but I couldn't really do much except for what I had to do to get paid. I really fell back in love with this because there's so much community here. There's so much artistic talent here. There's live music every weekend in Lake Mills. And we have a lot of great people in this community that help out, volunteer. I mean, it's just a really wonderful, supporting community.
This is a wall of your work.
This is a wall of my work, yes.
What are you hired to shoot most of the time?
I would say my main clients are seniors, high school seniors, and every chance I get, I try to get out and take pictures of things like this.
Right. Is your family still here?
Yeah, we're all here, and I love it. I actually just bought a house down the street. So,
oh, you did?
Yeah. Now I'm here to stay.
in front of Lake Mills High School, home of the L-Cats. You wonder, why did they call them L-Cats? It was built after World War II, and they were looking for a name for their mascot, and they remembered the Hellcats from World War II, the airplanes, and they thought that'd be a great name. But they couldn't say hell because it was a high school, so they shortened it to L-Cats, home of the L-Cats. And now, all these years later, people are like, what were they thinking? Lake Mills High School, home of the L-Cats.
Home of the L-Cats.
Great.
You know what, we could be talking soccer. Boys, girls soccer program really strong here at Lake Mills.
That would be silly on the basketball court.
It would be. We're the love of the game.
Good.
This community loves basketball. It loves basketball. It doesn't matter how these teams are doing. This community comes out and supports them. And I think it starts with the Lake Mills Basketball Club. Youth program.
Okay.
Feeder program to the school. Guys like Scott Carpenter, Jeff Wagner kind of run it. And there's a lot of people that run it and put a lot of sweat and equity into that program. But I think that's the reason this school is so in love with basketball.
And when do they start that program?
3rd grade, and they start running the stuff that the coach here runs.
Steve
which
Hicklin.
is
I met him.
Steve Hicklin. Great guy. Yeah, does a really nice job. And they've had 15 wins or more the last 6 years. Capital North, tough program, tough conference, and these guys really get after it.
Good record.
Good record. Yeah, they look for the love of the game.
And here it is, Lake Mills. Nice jacket. Okay, thanks, Mike.
Home of the L-Cats. Thanks.
See you next time.
See you, John.
Talk about something that's Lake Mills grown. Peggy and Lynette created this book, and along with the book came a canvas and a paintbrush and a series of colors. So as you read the book, you're instructed to paint along with the story. The mystery of the red boat, a pin cracked at the window above my shoulder. It's all created right here in Lake Mills. All hands on deck, a voice shouted from below. Abandoned boat. Didn't I do good? Even wrote on it.
These are Belgian horses. I have 4 of them.
So what's Belgian horses mean?
They're originated from Belgium.
They're big guys, aren't they?
They're big guys.
So is this a hobby?
It's a hobby / part-time business, yes.
Yeah. You take people for rides?
Absolutely. That carriage is one that we offer. I have a big ride wagon that we offer. We do a lot of outings for businesses. Towns hire me to do like their country festivals, things like that. You're gonna wanna hold the lines like this.
And do they like to work?
Oh. There you go. Oh yeah.
They do. Have you been doing this a long time?
Yeah, about 10 years. He can actually feel the heartbeat through the lines in his mouth.
Oh, he's like this guy, nervous.
Yeah. A little bit maybe. They're therapy, very therapeutic.
I bet.
Hard day's work. You come in here and you spend time with the horses, even if it's just pulling them up, putting them in the cross ties, brushing them.
Is there any wrong way of doing this?
Nope.
Okay.
And if there is, he'll let you know.
No. I want you to let me know.
They don't talk back. They're like your dog. They're always happy to see you. And they're fun.
They're smart too.
Oh, yeah. Very smart.
Yeah.
John, I got a joke for you.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I do.
Is it clean?
Yes.
You know, this is public television.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
You can edit it.
Let's go.
You know what I'm putting on right here?
Excuse me?
Do you know what this part of the harness is?
I have no idea.
That's a crooper. Any horse's butt knows that.
We're here on a Wednesday. You're not supposed to be open. When we got here, it was crowded. How did people know you were open?
Facebook, we threw it out. One of our sayings is, when the umbrellas are up, we're open. When they see it, they're here.
The umbrella's up. They can stop
Regardless
by.
of what our hours are, if the umbrellas are up,
You're
come
here.
on in.
We're open.
We'll serve you a dog.
Ketchup or mustard?
Let's talk menu. What do you have?
We have 2-size hot dogs. We have brats, Polish. We now have
an Italian
beef sandwich. We have a veggie dog as well, and gluten-free buns. You
Gluten-free
bet.
buns, the poppy seed buns, and a plain bun, because some people we found out have an allergy to poppy seeds.
Poppy seeds.
We feel good about what we're providing. It's something positive. It's a place where you can come and take the cell phone and set it aside and just spend time with your family.
And it's a nice place for people to come to get a different view of the town.
Yeah.
It's a peaceful feeling for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And people will come and bring their dogs, and they'll sit on the side. I mean, it's open to everyone.
Good.
It's open to
Yeah,
everyone.
well, it better be. It's called the Dog House. I mean, it's Doyle's Dogs.
Yeah.
Talk about the parade and what you've done.
Well, our tagline is the best dressed dogs in town.
The best dressed dogs in town.
And we invite people to dress up their dogs and join us in the parade.
Do they dress them up?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
They get them dressed
We
up?
had them
Oh,
in
yeah.
tutus, in a hot dog costume,
Batman.
badger gear. Oh, yeah.
Hot dogs, a couple as hot dogs. No, it's just a blast.
I love the fact that what you do is here's the one that we've done. That they're not mass produced. These are produced by a group of 15 artists that work collaboratively.
We don't want everything to look the same. We want there to be character in each piece, so that even though one piece we may make up to 500 of, each one is kind of a little bit different in its own way.
And people who purchase one know that they got one of how many? Do they know that?
At the end, we publish the number, so we'll discontinue a piece.
But I was just thinking of getting one.
We'll give you one last chance. We'll give you one last chance.
You will?
Yes, and we just let everyone know, last chance on this piece, and we'll retire it as of this date. Put your order in by then, and we'll get you one. So, and then we retire it, and then we tell what the numbers are, and we have all that documented on our website. So we put on a new studio collection every year, and that's usually anywhere between 20 and 30 pieces.
This is new for you guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, within the last couple of years, but we have quite a bit more of it in this year's collection. They're really all one of a kind because they're hand-thrown, hand-sculpted, glazed by hand. It's meant to be an art object on its own.
This isn't the only Ephraim pottery, is it?
Oh yeah, we have another store in Cambria, California, halfway between Los Angeles and San Francisco, real close to the Hearst Castle.
Great. A one-of-a-kind, beautiful piece. This would go so well in my house. Does most every quilt start with a realistic picture?
For me,
does.
oftentimes.
The purple whimsical cow? The best.
Oh, thank you.
How did that happen?
Well, I'll take a photograph and then I work with kind of a tracing simple line drawing. I ended up having this fabulous photo of these baby Swiss calves. So the first tracing I did was this one here. So Purple Cow just evolved, and she's patchwork.
There's so much more to quilting than Grandma's quilt. That's not Grandma's quilt.
It isn't Grandma's quilt. So there is a lot of that. It's almost the educational process now, the realizing that quilting goes beyond Grandma's quilt.
Is there a lot of innovation in this field?
I think so, and the fact that it's actually, the quilting industry is a $3.8 billion industry.
That's amazing.
And now that includes then all of the various fancy sewing machines and tools and such that individuals work with. And so there is always something coming out that's new.
If you offer a class, who shows up?
It's individuals who they're probably a little bit nervous about getting to my class, but they're ready to try something new.
Okay, here we go. Because it's all about bringing elements together to assemble to make one, right?
There's your name.
J-O-H. Come on, that's good.
I love working with so many different fabrics, but I play with fabric as though it might be my paint or my medium.
Let's talk about your operation.
We're a coffee shop,
bakery, and restaurant.
This all started with a friend saying this is the best bread I've ever had.
Yeah.
And did you believe?
I didn't.
You really didn't?
I still don't. I still
Sean
don't.
was like, come on.
We're gonna start with cookies. So
I always love starting with cookies.
Customers just said, oh, well, you know, you have bread, you should have sandwiches. And it just sort of grew from there. And you have coffee, oh, you should have espresso.
And then we started doing music.
Yeah.
And we started doing classes, and we started doing events.
We're totally hiring him.
It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We do 382 different things. One of them is a bakery. I'm the baker. That's all I do. She handles the other 381.
Right. The rest of it.
Yeah, all of it. She's amazing.
He's so glad you're here.
Yeah, but he makes really good food, so it all works out.
It does work out, doesn't it?
Yeah, there you go.
Where did you learn to bake and how?
Books. Self-taught.
Books.
Yeah, it started with the philosophy, local and organic. The eggs come from right here in Lake Mills. These chocolate chunks, though, come from Seiko out of Middleton. If it's made here in Wisconsin, we're willing to buy it. And if we can't find it locally, like oranges and lemons and stuff like that, then we buy it organic.
Oh, is that them?
That's them. These are the John cookies.
I have such a hard job. Legendary Lake Mills. If I were to write my own legend of Lake Mills, it would start in the summer of 2015. I found the most perfect Wisconsin community. You have 30 seconds to tell us why Lake Mills, Wisconsin is the best place in the world to live, work, and play. And city manager, you can start now.
All right, it's in the middle of the donut between Madison, Milwaukee, Chicago, and Rockford. It has a lot of great recreational opportunities like Korth Park, the Glacial Dremel Heritage Area, Rock Lake, the Ashland State Park, and the Commons. We have a lot of interesting places to visit, like the brewery, the winery, the chocolate factory, the cheese plant. We have a great public education system, and we really like it around here.
I'm moving. I'm buying that church and I'm working here. That's what I'm doing. I did a 10K in 1976.
Okay,
Good job. And I thought I was going to die.
Are you ready?
I'm going to chocolate my tea. Oh, I still am missing a tooth. Want to see? It feels like I don't even care if I get a real one. All I need is 3 teeth. Here we go.
This episode of Around the Corner with John McGivern is made possible through funding provided in part by the Greater Milwaukee Foundation's Ernest C. and Florence M. Shockey Fund. The Greater Milwaukee Foundation is honored to be serving our community for a second century.
The We Energies Foundation. People you can trust for energy you can depend on.
What Goodwill can do with your donations is pretty amazing.
Making sure electricity is there when you need it. American Transmission Company, helping to keep the lights on, businesses running, and communities strong.
Around the Corner with John McGivern is produced by Milwaukee Public Television, which is a viewer-supported service of Milwaukee Area Technical College. MATC, transforming lives, industry, and community. Now you know why we're such a good fit. That was good. That was really good. Yeah. Would anyone who was in the show please stand? You guys. Good job. Thanks. Thank you. I always love to stand in the back and watch the reaction. And hope that you who call this community home will turn to the person next to you and say, at one point in this 28 minutes, you turn and say, I had no idea that somewhere in the show we gave you part of your town. That's my hope. I also love to watch these people who were in the show, because if you know what we do, we spend 5 days in each community, 4.5 days. So we would drive back and forth. We got into our van at 7:45 in the morning at Milwaukee Public Television in downtown Milwaukee. We'd get home at 6:30, 6:45 every evening for 4.5 days. And when we showed up at your place of business or at your home or where you worked, lived, or played, we spent about an hour and a half with you. We put a microphone on and I talked to you for probably 15, 17 minutes. And then you show up here and you're like, I got a minute? What the hell? That's how it works. That's what it takes to make 28 minutes of television, at least on our show. We always believe there's a crew of 4 of us that work on this show when we go out into the field. There's a crew of 14 of us whose hands are all over this show. And there's a station of 50 of us at Milwaukee Public Television who completely support this project. And it's because of that 50 people that we're able to show up here tonight and celebrate Lake Mills. So thank you for helping us out with that. Thank you. It's also fun to come back in the winter to someplace because people came up to me, talked to me, I was like, who is that? Mary, I'm sorry. So I Doyle's Dogs, it was like, who are these two? And it was like, Mary had a hat on, she was like, I'm busy, is how she was. And it's like, oh my God, that was you. We've been doing this show for 5 years. I wouldn't be able to do this show without Raul, who was introduced. He is the executive producer of all of the programming at Milwaukee Public Television, but I really couldn't do the show without the producer and the director, who is also a dear friend, Lois Maurer. Lois, come on up. I thought, you're going to bring your purse up? I don't think anyone's going to steal it. We're in Lake Mills.
I have my phone in there so I can take pictures of you.
Oh, good, okay.
So I can Facebook.
I thought she's holding her purse. This is Lois Maurer. She's the producer and the director, and really, yeah.
That's my niece.
Let's talk why we came to town, why we came to Lake Mills.
Well, one of the reasons we came to Lake Mills is sitting over there, my niece Alyssa and her husband Ty.
Stand up, you guys.
Who you also saw on the show, because we're all about it. Putting people we know in the show. Thanks, kid. So Alyssa and Ty got married last year, and they could live anywhere in this state with their jobs, and they chose Lake Mills. And they're young, and I was like, okay, what is it about Lake Mills? And they were like, well, you had to see it. You got to come see it. Ty grew up in Fort, right? And you grew up in Fort Atkinson, like right next door. So we did Fort because he grew up there. And then they came here and I did Lake Mills. So it kind of all worked out.
It did work out. And people ask, this is another thing I'm going to ask right now tonight, that if you saw some things in the show that you didn't know, great. If there were things that you think maybe should have been in the show, wondering why it wasn't in there, it should have been, it could have been, it really would have been, shut up, I don't want to hear it. Okay. That's how that works, just so you know.
How it really works, how it really works.
How it really works.
So the first person to come to town on this show is my content producer, Deidre. She's one of those 14 people. And we decide early on as a crew which communities, which 13 we're going to cover every season. This is season 5 that you're watching now. Already we've chosen for 6. We know where we're going. And that's just kind of a map and a crapshoot and who knows who, and to have somebody you want to talk to in this town. We've already done his home neighborhood, we've done my home neighborhood, so now we have to branch out.
We do.
We're all over the stage, but once we depict or decide the communities, then Dee goes ahead and she contacts, for example, Katie and the village manager, and then she gets on the streets and walks around your neighborhoods and your downtown without anybody knowing who she is, and then she brings a list. It could be 50, really, Katie said it. I mean, there was probably 100, 200 things. And then she brings that list to me, and then I'm in the unfortunate position of having to pick. Because every community has hundreds of wonderful stories, fantastic businesses. But the trick to this whole show is I have 13 of these we do every year. So as we're producing your number 5, for example, or number 4 this season, I have to remember where I just came from and where I'm going to, so that I don't do the same thing in every town. And I can promise you that there's no more repurposed churches, because they're all in Lake Mills. Every one of them. So we narrow the list down, and then we look at it as a season. And yes, we're going to hear from people that, yes, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. And we know. I mean, the truth is, we know. But as you saw, we're whipping through these things the way it is. Can you imagine if I tried to stick more in there? That would be pretty bad.
We also, as a group of 4 of us who come in here every day, after day 2, we, on our way home from wherever we're at, we talk about that community, and we, after day 2, had a sense of this place, had a real pulse and a heart, and sort of we looked at each other after shooting day 2, and I said, I could live in this community. Yep. And that doesn't happen real often, just so you know. And we all felt it. Yep. We all really felt it.
Yep. We're not going to tell you where we didn't get that sense. Because there's been some, but mum's the word. This had it.
Yeah. Just a little history. Lois and I have worked with each other on this project. We worked on each other. No, we didn't work on each other.
I work on them, but it doesn't help.
Wow, your husband is like, what?
I didn't mean it like this.
What? Before this project, we did a couple things with Milwaukee Public Television, and because we had done those things, and they were short little jobs that lasted 3 days, one lasted 1 day, We had another project that didn't last long, and we said to each other as friends, what can we do? What can we pitch to Milwaukee Public Television that we can work together all the time? Is really how this show came to be. And we came up with a concept which was much like this show, and we gave it to the committee that votes, and the committee came back quickly and said no, and I was like, you're kidding. Why don't they want to do this? And they came back and told us that there was something missing in that show, in the concept. And what was missing was history, that they wanted a history of each of these communities that we were going to go to that first season. And
but when you hear the word history, if you're a producer, you only think one thing: research. That means a lot of research and a lot of work, because I'm not a historian. And when we were pitching this show, John and I were just working on the ground together on it. So if I didn't want to do the research, I had to talk John into doing the research. How'd that go?
I said, let's come up with another concept.
Right.
Is what I said. I said, no, I'm not going to do that. No. So I said, so then once they said no to us, I said, you know, John Gerda is a well-known historian in our community, and a lot of people on Milwaukee Public Television know John Gerda, and wouldn't it be great if John Gerda would do this? And Lois said, I don't know him. And I said, I've only seen him at functions around town, like things where we would both be asked to come. And I said, I only know him that way, so I don't really know him. And she said, well, I said, but I'll call him. Let's call him and see if, so we came up with a concept, and we came up with this pitch, and we kind of rehearsed it, and we had pages of, this is what we want to do, this is what we want you to do.
That's really who we are.
Because that's how we are.
And lists. Yeah.
And we sat at a coffee shop on the lake, which is now Colectivo on the Lake in Milwaukee, and 30 seconds into it, we were like, we have this show that we want you to do. John Gerda, if you do John Gerda, this is John Gerda. Yeah, sounds good. Don't you want to hear all the stuff we prepared? He said, no, it sounds great to me. So, John Gerda, come on up, John.
Thank you, Lois. Yeah, you were hard sellers, and I was not resistant at all. And I've been doing history.
Worked out for you. That's what they really want to know.
Just fine. This is the best part-time job I've ever had, I think, at least since high school.
Since high school?
Probably, yeah. And it's a pleasure to be back in Gays Mills. Some of my earliest memories, Lake Mills, Gays Mills is the other one. We'll do that next year.
Right.
But my dad was a one-man sales engineering company, and one of his customers was Creamery Packaging, Prepaco, east of town. And I must have been 4 or 5 years old, and one of the guys was a plant manager named Pete Capel, probably long since gone. But we came out here, rode in their boat, and then went to the fish hatchery, and I was chased around mercilessly by a duck. Came back and complained to my parents. They said, a duck? They were having none of it, but I don't count ducks when I go to sleep at night. There's a little terror involved there. We come back in the last 4 or 5 years. I've done the Glacial Drumlin Trail twice between Milwaukee and Madison. Cottage Grove, you have to get off and kind of wind around for a while. Stayed in Lake Mills and had supper at the country club. And if I'm passing through any time on a Friday and it's near lunch, what do? Sliders of the American Legion. So I'll try to go a little sooner or a little later, so I try to hit the Legion on a Friday around lunchtime. So you do have like Milwaukee a little bit, sort of, we got the sweet spot between large and small, between Chicago's proximity, but our own kind of thing. You've got the same thing going on here in southern Wisconsin between Milwaukee and Madison, kind of a real rare niche that you're in. And it's certainly been a pleasure to rediscover it.
That was the applause wait. That's what I waited for, John. There we go.
Just talk longer, John.
Applause pause. John shows up, just so you know, he's got 3 minutes. 4 minutes?
3.5.
3.5 minutes is what...
Who's counting?
We are. And he shows up usually the first day, and usually it's our, it's the thing we do right before lunch. So John shows up. If we're far away from Milwaukee, he takes his bike out of his van, and because the bike's in every episode. And then we do his 3.5 minutes. We do it usually twice. The first time, because there are places where John says, this is what I'm going to talk about, and this is what I need from you. And there are usually 2 or 3 or 4 places when I say, and then what happened? Is how it works.
At least you have questions now, John. The first year it was just,
Right. And then we go to lunch, and John's done for the shoot. John is done for the week. And as I said, we're here for 4.5 days, 10 hours a day, and John's like, so where are we going for lunch? And I'm usually like, we'll decide, John.
1:30, so long.
Right. And then you usually take your bike.
I'm on the bike trail.
Yeah, sure. most usually. So John's been with us since the beginning. Between seasons 2 and 3, we had a meeting with everybody who ever worked on the show, and we sat at a production table and said, what do we need for Around the Corner with John McGivern to go on to the next season? And I turned to Lois and I said, what we need is sports, because we go to all of these small communities that prep sports is really important, and to be honest, I know nothing, and I don't really care. So what we need is somebody who gives a crap. So my brother Mike McGivern, if you know Milwaukee radio, he's on 1250. He's called Big Time. He's got sports shows. He does everything on this radio station. And I said to Lois, we should get my brother in to do this. And season 3, my brother Mike started for. He doesn't have 3.5 minutes. He's got 1 minute. So here's my brother Mike McGivern.
You know, I didn't realize Gerda got 3.5. You always told me 3, so I'm hoping for 1.5 minutes. I just haven't timed it. It's very interesting, so I don't time it. You know, a couple years ago when John called, he called me and said, hey, we're going to expand Around the Corner. We're going to do sports. And I said, John, please get somebody else to do it. Hey, you can't do it. And he said, trust me, I have no interest in it. We want to have you come and do it. And I thought, oh, that would be fun. You know, I do some, I'm the sideline reporter for my 24, the high school football game of the week. And like John said, I'm a sales rep for 103.7 KISS FM, WMYX, and the sports station. And I've coached high school basketball for a long time. I retired and came back, and I do high school football, basketball, and baseball shows on the radio as well. And so I thought, yeah, that'd be fun. And then I started thinking about it, and John's a perfectionist, and I am not. And we have different interests growing up. He's a little bit older than I am. And my other brothers were always on the playground, so I'd follow them to the playground. And John was the McGivern boy that couldn't throw. So, I stole your...
Oh, no, I would have told you that. Yeah. Like, they're all thinking it, Mike, just so you know.
Well, I'm just going to let him know he really couldn't throw. And so when he asked me to do it, I said, that'd be great. And the first episode we did was in downtown Milwaukee. And there's really not a high school. And he said, hey, you need to come up with something. So the Milwaukee Admirals Milwaukee Wave office are in Milwaukee Theater, and I said, John, meet me in the parking lot or in the drive-thru of the Milwaukee Theater, and I have something. So I got there about a half hour early, and I do some business with the Admirals and the Waves, so I went into the office. I said, I need a goalie jersey. The Wave guy goes, or the Admiral guy goes, great, here you go. I went to the Wave office, I said, I need a hat. So I'm standing there waiting as the trucks pull in, and John got out and he looked at me and he said, what are you doing? And I said, this is going to be my shtick. And he said, here, you don't have a shtick. I said, oh my God, my dad is, he's back, right? And so I'm wearing this Admiral goalie jersey and the hat, and it went really well. Week 2 we're at the south side of Milwaukee, at Milwaukee South Division, and I wore a football jersey. And by week 3, Lois would call and say, what are you wearing this week? Right? I thought, well, this week I'm doing this. And week 6, we're in Hartford. And Hartford's known as a wrestling school. Now, wait now. So my shtick, I think people are going to understand by week 6 what my shtick is. Well, Lois, because she's the best producer in the world, decided to air Hartford first. I had the onesie on, the headgear, the whole bit. And I call it a onesie, it's a singlet, Michael. He's called it a onesie, so in fact he has 3 of them now. He went out and bought. all different colors, that whole rainbow thing, you know. And so, sorry. And
they were thinking it.
I know. I got killed. My wife looked at me and said, "What in the world have you done? You've shamed the family." And I'm like, no, they're going to get it. It's my shtick. So it has been a pure joy to work with these guys. They kind of like John, I get into the community. You know, I do my research. I talk to the basketball coach. I get to their football or soccer, whatever sport we're doing, and I just try to get a feel and a pulse for who they are. And here in Lake Mills, I can tell you there's a number of sports that we could have talked about, but as now back being a high school basketball coach, I'm so impressed with the youth program and the love that the people in this community feel for this basketball program. And I just thought it was a really nice fit. And the people at the school were wonderful to us, and I really appreciate that. So.
And those guys who came out, are you guys the guys who came out? Stand up, you guys. Oh, there you are. You're good. Yeah.
Hey, they're having a great year, by the way. They're having a great year. I got a chance to run them through a drill or two. You saw they finally put one shot of me hitting a jump shot. It took me about 15 minutes. Thank you. Good. Thank you. Last week or 2 weeks ago, Milwaukee Science Academy, I hit like 8 in a row, but they put 2 in there that I didn't. So, yeah, it was payback. It's so fun for me to go in and look in Milwaukee with the high school sports show. I know from afar that this program is really good, but I've never had a chance to come up and meet the coach and meet some of these players.
Where's the coach? Have him stand up.
Stand up. He's right there.
How are you, Coach?
And I have to tell you that these young men, when I walked in, they had no idea really what I was doing there. But they bought into what I was talking about, and I got a chance to run them through a shooting drill or two, and it felt good. I was retired still at that point. Now, Coach, I don't know if you know, but I'm back at Martin Luther, and we've won 2 in a row, which is a big deal for Martin Luther. We don't want any part of you boys yet, but we'll get there. One day we'll come up this way. So it's just been really a fun thing for me to do, to work with my brother and work with these great people. So thank you for allowing that. You bet.
Thanks. Questions? Anybody have questions? Thank you and good night. There we go. Yes, sir.
Talk about the other things you do theatrically.
Sure. I'm an actor by trade, is really what I did before I started doing this. And I moved back to Milwaukee in 2001, living in Los Angeles for most of the 90s. Girls who are between the ages of, let's say, 12 and 20 come up to me all the time because I played the Bruce McIntosh in the film The Princess Diaries. If you know the film The Princess Diaries, I played Bruce McIntosh, who was the trolley car operator that she brought to the ball. So it's funny, if we go to these communities and old people, not old people, people my age, I'm 61, just so you know, will come up to me and say, I watch your TV show. And when I see like an 18-year-old come up to me and they're like, it's like, oh my God, they saw The Princess Diaries 11 times. But I'm a stage actor as well, and I'm a writer. I write for the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. You can see our article. It's called Around the Corner with John McGivern, the first Sunday of every month. I have an 18-month contract with the Journal-Sentinel, and I talk about our show and what we do in these communities. And stage acting, it's funny because I've been a stage actor for 30 years, and because of this show, and where it plays on every PBS station in the state of Wisconsin, it plays in Minnesota, it plays in Chicago. Because of this show, so many people now come up to me and say, you're the TV host. And it's like, mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yeah.
Are other states picking up on this type of format, other PBS stations?
It's a good question. You know, we have talked about this show going to other states, not maybe with John, but with other hosts. And everybody kind of has their own version of it. Thursday nights are local television night in PBS World, okay? So every PBS station across the country on Thursday nights runs their local shows. And every week, I will tell you, I'm not bragging, it's just true, Around the Corner is the #1 show on Thursday nights across the country for ratings. Thanks, John. Yep. And usually followed by Wisconsin Foodie, which runs right after us as well, that's also one of our favorite shows. But Tennessee Crossroads and Oregon Trails, and there's a couple other ones probably wherever you went. There's a couple others that are around the country that have their own local shows. A lot of PBS stations, quite honestly, just don't have the production capability that for whatever reason we have. Milwaukee's been committed to local production for many, many years. And Milwaukee Public Television produces more local shows than any other station in the country. Yeah, it's just been a dedication because of Milwaukee, probably because of METC, you know.
Yeah. But our dream, and we have a new general manager over there, and this is what our hope is, and we've talked to him about it, is that they franchise this show so it's around the corner with whoever in San Francisco, around the corner with whoever in 13 markets across the country. Then we, who own the product, can go to their communities and grab all of their segments. And then we would do around the country with John McGivern, and I would do the bridges in these communities. So it would be a national PBS show. And that's what we're looking at now. But I said we have to do it soon because I'm old.
So around the corners where it begins, then it becomes around the country, then around the world, and John gets a little older and it's around the bend with John McGivern.
He's a charmer, this one.
I hear that a lot.
Somebody back there had one? Yeah.
I have a question for you crazy people.
Yeah?
I work with these crazy people. I work at Milwaukee Public Television. And I have all these coworkers that ask me all the time, why don't I move to Milwaukee? And I just want to know, now that you've been to Lake Mills, do you understand why I have no desire to move to Milwaukee? I want to stay.
Yes, yes. An unsolicited endorsement.
Except your commute does kind of stink, doesn't it? It does. John lives like 3 minutes from the station. He's got the best commute out of all of it. What's your question right here, honey? Your mom's in the show? I know. Have you ever done Zumba with your mom?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. McGivern did too.
Yeah.
Sort of. Did you see him?
Want to see more of it?
I asked him to bring his tennies that day, and I can, honestly, this is true. I can talk John into just about everything, because he's really susceptible to peer pressure. And if you say to him, come on, you're being a weenie, he'll do just about anything.
Don't call me a weenie.
Except Zumba. He was not doing it.
No, Zumba and
yoga.
Yoga I wouldn't do either. We went to a yoga studio, and I said, I'm not going to do this. Because people were really serious. See, when I walked in there, it's like, those are any of the people who were in the Zumba class. Any of you, stand up, you guys. The Zumba girls. Any of you here? You girls were serious. And I was like, if I stand back here and try to, I don't want to make fun. Really is kind of what my deal was. That's like yoga too. She was like, stand, put your legs. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. These people are serious, and I don't want to make light of their seriousness.
You also don't want to get pit stains on your shirt because you're afraid you're going to sweat.
But I don't sweat, remember? That's right.
I'm like, come on, John, please. But no, that you wouldn't do. Here.
I started watching the show because I liked the fact that you did blend history to these different communities. And the communities, I mean, I started watching when you were doing a lot of stuff about Milwaukee. There's a game around Milwaukee about the 70s. And then see how things change. I like that one perfectly. Yet you offer all these other things about communities, and you see all these things. You didn't see the stuff about the there were things there that I didn't realize existed.
Right.
And I live in this area, so I understand it. I also understand trying to compile all that stuff down into that half hour. You really have to pick and choose. And I think you do an excellent job.
Thank you.
You do a really good job of training all these things. Always, all these different solutions. You learn so much from these shows. And I just think it's a really positive thing. I hope you do expand this.
Thanks. Did you hear what he said?
An hour long.
Maybe make it an hour long. We tried it. It didn't work. It got to be long.
When you got done, did you want more, or were you satisfied? How many wanted more?
Yeah. And I think that's sort of the
I think they could give sports for a minute then, or 2 minutes if they did an hour. I could have talked to the basketball boys a little bit then. Yeah.
My question is, when is it going to air on public television for us to watch?
tomorrow night.
Thursday.
What is today? Monday. I'm sorry. Thursday. Last week, yeah, okay. Last week we did Fort Atkinson. On Wednesday night we did our preview, and then it played the next night. So this Thursday, every PBS station in the state, it'll play at 7 o'clock. And then, yeah.
Amy, when does it re-air? When is it on 36 in Milwaukee? Somebody said Sunday. Is that right?
Sunday at 8. 8 o'clock.
Sunday at 8. You can watch it on channel 36. At 7?
Last week.
Look up. We don't even know. We know it airs. Yes, you can watch it exactly. So
online.
Lake Mills will air this Thursday at 7. It goes up at noon. I'll tell you something. But I still need you all to watch Thursday at 7 and tell everybody you know, because John and I are all about the ratings.
We are.
And we want them to go up. So tell everybody you know to watch us Thursday night at 7. But if you go to mptv.org, to our website, you can watch every episode we've ever made. And so, wait, I'll do a little housekeeping while I'm talking about the episodes. If we interviewed you for this show, afterwards I want you to come find me. I'll be right up here. John we have a gift for you, a DVD and a picture, if you took the time, because we really, truly, when we come out to these communities, if you guys all would have said no, we don't have a show.
No, we would have gone to Jefferson.
So thank you for saying yes. So please come and find me afterwards. Tonight in the back, on your way in if you stopped, there's a table back there. Tonight's the only night we sell the DVD of the episode itself of Lake Mills. So if you want to own that, you want to send it to somebody who used to live here, we'll sell it to you tonight for $10. We have coffee mugs today too, which are 2 for $15. And that money that we sell in the back at these little previews we do goes directly to Around the Corner because we have to fund our show. So that's why.
So coffee cups are really nice.
Yeah, really good. Who doesn't like coffee? We'll have bake sales next time.
We want to take a moment, too, to thank Katie. Katie did such a great job. Where is Katie?
Katie. Yay, thank you for your help. Yeah, perfect.
Anybody else? Sir? Want to buy a church?
Cynthia.
Great churches. It's
Yeah.
kind of remarkable.
They are great churches.
Yes.
Yeah. Your brother is rivaling you on storytelling here.
Oh, he's good.
Yeah.
But he only has a minute.
Okay, around the field with Mike McGivern.
Oh, wow. Great question. It's a great question. You know, with the help of Lois, it's really funny how important it is. And when I say we spent an hour and a half with you people, you know we did. And what we're looking for in that hour and a half is comfort. And for somebody, once the microphone shows up and once the cameraman is in front of you, that there's something between us that you'll tell me your story. And there's something, I have no idea why people tell me their stories. I have no idea why people get comfortable, and they do, but I know that it works, and it works on this show and in this medium. The fact that it works on television is kind of amazing to me. And the fact that
He won't say this, but it's because John has a gift. And his gift is warmth, and people tell him everything. I'm telling you, they tell him things they should never tell him. They've met him for 5 minutes, and I'm like, oh my gosh. But the truth is, he's very personable. The same reason that you can come up to him tonight and say, hey, John, it's because you feel like you know him, because what you see on television is truly what you get. So when you're talking to
It's kind of sad.
It kind of works.
Thank you.
Which I discovered at the circus parade, because the first thing that I worked on with John was the circus parade. And I put him out, I knew he was an actor, but we put him out on the street talking to people with a microphone. And I watched it. I watched it unfold on television and said, holy cats, people, they talk to him. So that was the start of, okay, you have another career coming here.
Okay, sign me up.
Yeah.
Which, if you watch that circus
let's do the
parade,
raffle, John. Let's do the raffle.
Did you? Oh, here. Let's do this first.
Okay.
Somebody's going to win a DVD.
So there's 5 things we're giving away tonight.
Oh, good.
3 from Wisconsin Public Television and 2 copies of this show. So we'll pick 5 boys. We passed those around between all of us.
Mary Lou, she wrote Mary Lou Sandovic? Where are you? Mary Lou, thanks for writing so big.
And Julie Mosh.
Hey, Julie. John, she's right here.
Raise your hand,
Raise
Julie.
your hand, Julie. Perfect. Stuart Mash.
They were stapled together.
Oh, good. Is that how you say your name? Mashy.
Mashy.
Good. Oh, you'll just do one?
Oh, is it Weiler Lopez? Oh. Right there, Weiler, there you Hey, I had dinner with them tonight. There you go. They were sitting right next to me, ripping me the whole time.
Where are we? You got any left? Good, we have 2 left. Paul Ostrowski.
And last but not least, Marianne Jackson.
Oh, wow. Obviously not least. She got a round of applause. Good job. Oh, I want to tell this quick story. We did the circus parade, and it was our first time working together, and it was the first time I ever got in trouble on the other side of the state line. And that was the fact that it played nationally in 156 markets, the circus parade, and it was done live. So I was on the street with an earpiece in when they told me when to go and when to talk and when to keep talking and then when to throw back into all of that TV talk. So I'm on there talking to a woman about the circus parade, and we're live, and I say to the woman, so, isn't this exciting that the circus parade is back? She says, oh, I had no idea that there was a circus parade here. And I says, oh, you're not from Milwaukee? No, I'm from Mequon. And I said, and you've never seen the circus parade? And she says, no, I didn't know it went through this town. And I said, are you lying to me? What are you, Lutheran? I know, that's what I said, live. And I didn't know that I just kept going and nobody said a word to me till I got home. And the couple who lives across the hall in the condo building that I live in downtown Milwaukee knocked on my door and said, you are in such trouble. I was like, what are you talking? She said, the Lutheran line. I said, oh, that was just oh no. The mail we got, but mostly from Minnesota. Those people were pissed. So I wrote a letter to Minnesota saying that my mom called and said, how does your foot taste? And this Catholic man didn't really mean that, so. Good, I think we're done. This is a pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you all for coming.